Welcome to Chaos and Coffee, where the pregame show and the aftergame is way better than the game. Yeah. My name is Justin Brown, and I have with me today Vertex Draco, and we are talking about random shit.
Like fascism.
So random, dude. It's fascism. Okay, so yeah, fascism. Oh man, we got to define terms here, dude. We got we should probably look it up.
Yeah. This is something that everyone should do, really. Yeah, because there's so many people with different different beliefs on what it actually means. When you have a book that tells you what definitions we should be going by, really.
Right. Yeah. I think once you look it up, once you guys anybody who looks it up will understand what it is. I think a lot of people misunderstand terms, like in general, like no matter what the term is, people misunderstand the term, and so then they misrepresent it. So people go fascist, and they just mean authoritarian.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll finish that Facebook argument later. I'm live. I don't have time to argue with that guy about his definition.
I got distracted.
It's kind of distracting. Yeah, I'd rather nerd out and play D&D and I don't know, game. Just play games. That's fun.
It's easy to get through to get drawn into these sort of arguments, though. I've done it myself quite a bit, but I try not to. It's not a good thing to get into.
I think I'm compelled to educate. I have this. I come from this I can't get off this high horse of I'm educated. I must educate you as well. I can't get off that high horse for some reason. My ego drives me to quote unquote educate people.
Yeah, that you can't stand someone being wrong. It was the same reasons for me that I'm like, look, you need to understand, you need to learn, and I just gave up with it eventually. I had to force myself. Look, you can't. Some people are just going to be wrong. You can't force someone into. You can't force someone to not be wrong or to be correct in any sort of way. Yeah, just leave them to it. If they believe something stupid or wacky, I'm like, well, it's your own fault. I just leave them to be ignorant now, and it's just somewhat more soothing. Yeah, fascism, characterized by authoritarianism. I can never say that right. And nationalism, and it typically involves policies of racism and nationalism. The definition isn't very extensive. Oppressive and dictatorial control. I can't speak today.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of communist or socialist countries went. I mean, some communist countries definitely went full dictator. Okay.
Yeah.
No doubt. But many communist countries or socialist countries had councils. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Suppression of the opposition through terror and censorship. I see. And stringent socio-economic controls. Yeah, there comes into when it gets to socialism and communism that, oh well, that wasn't real communism. Well, that's because it can't be implemented really. Communism anyway. You can get elements of socialism, I guess, but that's where it gets kind of fuzzy. As to whether you mean, because you could say, well, like say in England, for example, we have the NHS, so we have free healthcare, and you could say that's a social program, but it doesn't mean our country is socialist, where it's still run under capitalism. So I think that's where it gets kind of fuzzy in some senses, but I honestly don't think communism can ever exist. It's just is it's a fantasy, really. And I
Uh,
don't
Socialism,
know
communism.
communism.
Well, I mean, China exists.
Yeah, but I think this is where the confusion goes, because a lot of the times, say in communism, it ends up just being a dictatorship in some sense. That it ends up just being one person just ruling everyone else and saying, "Well, you can't have this," and this the power isn't the people don't have the power in that sense. That
I
even
think.
have good
Well,
intent,
yeah. Okay. Inevitably, regardless of the government structure, right? The process by which the leaders are chosen, even in the glorious nation of America, right, are archaic and obscure. There's no like true democracy. There's no that I've seen true democracy that I've seen on ever yet. Okay. Even Greece, the dawn of democracy, was basically very much a landowner, men voting or dads voting, right? Heads of family. And then that changes into the republic, which is definitely just landowning males, European males voting, right? In Rome, in slavery and whatnot. This is the dawn of the republic, and democracy in our world are basically governments that are not even true to their definition, right? So here we are in the modern era, and many of us have republics. Like, that's the dominant governmental form, is the republic, even in a communist or a socialist or your monarchy or representational monarchy or whatever the heck you guys have, right? It's still a republic. I think that's the best term to use for governments in general. Calling it a democracy or calling it communist or calling it even fascist is misrepresenting the governmental structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dictatorships that exist, I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist. Dictatorships exist. Cuba, right? It's a communist dictatorship.
I think it kind of depends on the individual there. When it comes down to, like, someone says dictatorship and they immediately think that it's something bad, but it's more I think it's more the possibility of corruption and things going bad. That say if you have someone that wants to do good, then you can have a benevolent dictator, you can have a good dictator, and I feel like you can get more done in the long term, because then you don't have opposing parties undoing the sort of change that you're doing. But then you have the problem of when that person dies and it goes to, I don't know, someone in his family or something, they might be a little bit unhinged, and they end up tanking everything that is done in the past. Like, I kind of sit in a weird place that I don't like democracies, and I don't like dictatorships. I don't like any of these sort of structures of government. I don't think we've thought of the best way of governing people at the moment. I don't know what the proper solution would be. I just don't think we've found it yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd agree that we've talked about this before, and I'm generally in agreement with that. We have not found the ideal form of government for humanity yet. It's silly to argue over whether these past ideas are viable. We should honestly try to create new structures of organization that can implement the overall ideal, which is essentially the benefit of the species, or the benefit of human beings, not only on the individual level, but also on the group level. You know, there's no reason to have it. I always get concerned when authoritarian figures or leaders give us a two choice. Like, you know, it's either the individual or the collective. It's like, why can it not be the individual has rights that are maintained, which ensure that the collective has the same rights that are enforced and maintained? Like, It seems very odd to me that it's like we either have to give up individual rights for the claim of safety or security, when in reality, maintaining those individual rights ensures the safety and security of the collective.
Yeah, I do think we can have both.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing with the internet as well, where I kind of get frustrated when we're kind of given the false dichotomy of you can have security or you can have privacy. I think you can have security and privacy at the same time, but it's just not beneficial for people to go that direction, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
Good morning, guys.
You sound like you're climbing out of a paper towel tube.
Yeah, I'm mobile.
Okay.
I'm in Tahlequah visiting with my mom and.
Fair enough. No worries, man. Okay, right on. Cool. Yeah, we're just us, man. We're just sitting here shooting the breeze, dude.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right on. Are you stopping in for us?
Anything?
Say again.
I said, are you getting any echo or anything from my end?
It's fun. It feels like they either got you locked in a trunk of a car, or it feels like you maybe have a minor devil holding onto your ankle while you're climbing out of the pits of Tartarus.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
No, I forgot my earbuds at home and.
No worries, man.
Haven't my lap anything here, so.
Okay. Yeah, it's just how it is. You've been in here before when people join on mobile,
Yeah.
Well, that's good to have you, dude. We're kind of concerned. We did.
Yeah. So I thought, well, if nothing else, I'll just pop in and let them know what's going on because it's kind of an unexpected thing.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot, dude, because I was it was gnawing at the back of my head. You know how I am. I'm a worrywart. And so yeah, it's good that we know you're in Tahlequah. You just doxed yourself. The feds will be there momentarily. You've said too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's good to stop in. We're kind of just shooting the breeze about various topics. You know how it is. I often forget as we as one ends and we begin another one. It's hard for me to remember the previous topic we were on, but yeah, we're just shooting the breeze. Fuck. We're talking about basically we're talking about arguments on the internet. How you get in arguments on the internet with people, and sometimes the best thing to do is just ask them questions, like ask them to further define their point rather than try to counter it. Like really let them try to explain,
Right. Yeah. I've discovered that myself. I found that I can shut them down quicker with a simple question than I can, trying to argue with them.
Yeah, it just doesn't help to argue with them. I mean, I am doing it again, based on ego, if nothing else.
It gets addictive though. It gets addictive to try and one up someone in a lot of ways. But in the long term, it's more satisfying. I think just leaving them to it. Just don't like okay then. Well, you believe something weird. I don't even try and counter it anymore. I'm like, well, you go live your life and I'll live mine. That can frustrate some people even more though. If you don't try and engage them in an argument, they get more and more frustrated and they start ramping things up, and it can get quite amusing. I do know a few people like that, especially when it's something to do with drama. They come to you and they're like, oh, this thing has happened to me and it's really terrible, and all these other terrible things are happening. And if you don't sort of go down to their level and be like, oh yeah, that's terrible, and the world's a terrible place and it's all going to hell. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't care. It's all fine. I'm great. I'm doing fine. And it gets frustrating to them because I don't know. It's almost as if people want to drag you down to their level rather than them climb up out of the sort of hole they've dug.
Yeah, there was something about that. Never argue with an idiot because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with their ignorance.
Yeah, with the experience, yeah.
You know, I've always said never argue with a moron because people might not be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Just for your sanity, really. It's just best not to engage in it. Just focus on what you can influence and whatever makes you happy. It's why I constantly cling to hedonism, because I'm like, well, if it doesn't make you happy, then just cut it out of your life.
Well, yeah.
Good way to live your life.
A documentary on Willie Nelson this morning, and that's been his whole thing. Is, you know, he lives very much in the now, and am I happy with myself right now? And if not, then I need to do something about it. And he does it, and he doesn't give a shit what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, it's the best way. I think it comes down to social media as well. Everyone's got an opinion about something that's going off in the world, and before, like, we'd only have the news of whatever's going off in your local area, and now we're exposed to the news of the entire world, of everything that's going off everywhere at all times, and it's sort of an information overload. It's not healthy. Yeah, and there's an entire industry behind clickbait of trying to trick you into reading these pointless articles that just do nothing but put you in a foul mood. So yeah, we're more connected now, but in a sense that's kind of worse in some ways. It has its benefits, obviously, but there's definitely a downside to being disconnected, I think.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of interesting that, you know, they make a big deal about, oh, how the internet has brought us together, but in a lot of ways it's really separated us too. It's been used as a tool to further divide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Depends how you use it, though. There's some amount of personal responsibility that needs to come into play. I know that there's marketing essentially, that marketing wants you to sort of look at their product or read this thing, and but ultimately I think it comes down to you as an individual to not focus on it or not pay attention to it, or to pay attention to it if it's what's going to bring you joy. Personal responsibility, folks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree with personal responsibility. I would try to caution against seeking a joy state, but that's just me after years of experience. You know what I mean?
A lot of people I look up to say the same thing, that you shouldn't pursue pleasure or joy in of itself. But I don't know.
They'll occur just in your act. Okay. Joy is brought about by various means, right? And I mean, pleasure would probably be a better one to try to wrangle down, right? Or really narrow down to the causes of, right? So pleasure seeking versus pain avoidance, right? That's what we're geared towards on a biological level. And so most people are going to do that anyways, or there's going to be a prevalence in society for people to avoid pain and seek pleasure, you know?
And when it comes to that, though, I don't think pain avoidance is a good idea, because putting yourself through something stressful or something that's painful right now can lead to more pleasure later on down the road, as in like greater rewards, like sacrificing right now to benefit later on. Like me doing SIA training, spending like 4 weeks of constantly learning about health and safety and conflict management and all these sort of things. But ultimately, later on, it's going to lead to more opportunities, putting me in a better environment. So in a sense, I think that pursuing pleasure is a good thing, but avoiding pain isn't, because you need to intentionally put yourself through some amount of pain in order to get greater rewards later on down the line.
Well, yeah, I've got two varying stories about that. I always try to live my life to find a joy in whatever I'm doing. So if I'm doing a meaningless task that's just boring as hell, or doing a job that I just hate doing, I try to make a game of it, or try to find something in it that I do enjoy, and then that's what I focus on. Instead of so much just living my life for nothing but pleasure, I just try to find the pleasure in whatever it is I'm doing. And then on to the pain thing. I've had several surgeries on my knee for various things. I've shattered a kneecap and that kind of stuff in the past. And the doctors give me these painkillers that just make me so out of my head that I end up doing stupid shit like trying to get out of bed to go to the kitchen and fix myself something to eat without my crutches or wheelchair. It's just more pain later on. So I've taken the stance of A, pharmaceuticals are bad for you to begin with, and B, that the pain is a part of the healing process. And we all need to go through a little bit of that, at least a little bit of that pain. You don't need to deaden it all the way, just and it leads to personal growth and a little more cautious, healthy living.
Yeah, like when it comes to any sort of drugs, really, whether it be pharmaceuticals or smoking weed, drinking, or anything else, like I did used to have a major problem with that, because I would use these sort of things just to numb myself so I didn't feel pain at all, just to it was the pain avoidance thing, really. And yeah, I eventually came to the conclusion that that's not a good thing. Like, pain is there for a reason. It tells you that something's wrong, that something needs to change, or you need to make some sort of action. And you won't have motivation to change anything if that's the reason. Don't get me wrong, like there's good reasons to take certain sort of drugs if you really need it or if it's beneficial to you. But for me personally, I was using it for pain avoidance, as in like mental pain. So I was like, well, this isn't a good thing. I should be facing it, really. It's kind of like running away from your problems constantly, and it's not good to run away from your problems, because then they just amount up and they don't go away, and eventually you're gonna have to face them. So yeah, it's better to do it earlier than later.
I went through that when my wife passed away. I had everybody, family, friends, everyone just throwing marijuana at me, saying, "Here, you need this, you need this, you need this." I stayed so messed up for a year that I never dealt with the actual issue of the loss.
Yeah.
That's going to feedback through the phone already. So, yeah, I know very much where it's coming from.
I see you, Mr. James.
And that seems to be a problem in society, is that, when people experience any kind of little pain or whatever, they want to run from it and not really deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need my Prozac, or I need my, what the hell ever, so I can get through the day. No, you don't. You just need to deal with your issues.
Yeah. I think in society, I think you hit the nail on the head there. But in society, I think people focus more on pain avoidance than pursuing pleasure. It's almost as if people don't want to pursue pleasure, at least not long-term pleasure, and it seems to just entirely be focused on pain avoidance constantly. Yeah. Like, you can really sort of stop someone in the tracks if you just if you say to them, what do you want? Like, what would make you happy? And a lot of people just, they can't answer you. Like, I couldn't answer that question for years. Like, I don't know what I want. Like, I don't know what sort of person I want to be. I don't know what would make me happy. So a lot of just the fact people can't even answer that question, or a majority of people can't answer that question, just it shows to me people are more focused on pain avoidance than pursuing any sort of pleasure. Just look what people do online. Like like, I've been guilty of this as well. You'd spend an entire day just looking at things that make you angry. So it's bizarre.
That's why I'm not following.
I think there's a part of us that likes. I mean, there's a part of us that likes conflict. I can't remember the philosopher. This is paraphrasing at this point. He said, if there's no conflict, then man will create conflict.
Yeah.
So really, it's better to have. Honestly, it's better to have some type of external conflict. And it doesn't have to be necessarily something that's detrimental. It could be the conflict between myself and the garden, right? And I go out there and I have these moments or experiences of pain, right? Temporary pain that leads to further joy, right? Of having a garden, right? And it's an external conflict. I'm tilling the earth or planting seeds, watering it, right? Tending weeds. And this type of activity allows for my inner conflict to resolve, right? Through a semi-meditative process of doing an activity, right? So it's not, again, like that's why I counsel against pain avoidance. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. I caution people against pain avoidance, no pain, no gain type thing, you know?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the pain that we suffer and the loss in life and whatever that leads to personal growth too. If you're just constantly avoiding that kind of stuff, you're not going to go anywhere.
Man, some of the best comedians, I'd say the best comedians in the history of comedy and presently are those who suffered, like those who really had messed up childhoods or just suffer now. Like even if they had great childhoods, but their 20s and 30s are just fucking horrible, right? Those people make great comedians because they suffer. They're experiencing the pain and they're able to make it relatable and humorous in a way that's relatable. Did I say relatable a bunch? Relatable.
Yeah. The same with artists, really, of any sort of artist, whether it be musicians or like painters or whatever. The same sort of thing seems to be true, that when you channel that pain into something more productive, you could say, then the results are, they stand for the soul.
Yeah, exactly. Sylvia Plath, Alanis Morissette.
Did you say Alanis Morissette? Did you invoke the goddess's name? Is that what's wrong?
Yeah. Yes. I spoke the name of God.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Great movie. Some guy was trying. A fellow person was trying to talk down on that movie recently, and I was like, no, that movie is excellent. That's a great movie.
Oh man, there's some true spiritual knowledge in that movie, man. That's a powerful.
We're talking about Dogma. I'll type it in the chat. Dogma.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what movie is that? Dogma.
Yeah, Dogma. Yeah, Kevin Smith, man, brilliant.
Yeah, it's great movie. Funny as heck. George Carlin is great in it. You know,
isn't he?
Man, I might rewatch that, dude, just because that movie. I mean, it has like Salma Hayek, which is like one of my favorite actresses ever.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. I forgot all about it. Yeah, you had those angels and they cut off the wings, or they had the wings cut off. It's been years since I've watched it. A long time ago.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch it here soon. Kevin Smith just
Silent Bob.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob. Yeah, it's it's part of the Jay and Silent Bob series of movies. Or it's Kevin Smith, so all his movies, well, not all of his movies, the good ones are God dang it. I was just giving this guy praise. He almost died of a heart attack. You know, I'm sitting here dealing with a blood clot, so I'm trying to be like really nice about everything, right? And then I think about it, and it's like, no, it's the movies with Jay and Silent Bob and them that were the good ones. And then all the other stuff he did that didn't have them sucked.
They're the only films that I know of him, to be honest, Jay and Silent
no,
Bob.
he did Daredevil back when it was a movie.
Daredevil.
That was horrible. And
I can't remember watching that.
He did a movie. He did a movie of Bruce Willis called Cop Out.
Cop Out.
Oh man, it's horrible. You know, like it's the movie's called Cop Out, which means like to do something in a way that's not good. You know, like
getting out of something.
Yeah, getting out of something with an excuse or doing something in a really shabby way and saying, well, there it is. It's done. It's like, man, that's a cop-out, you know, or, yeah, a lame excuse for something being done. And it would be my interpretation. But, yeah, so that, like, the movie itself is literally a cop-out.
The irony.
Yeah, the irony of it. Anyways. Yeah, poor bastard. I feel for him. I hope he's out of the hospital.
He still may have years ahead of him, man. You know, we don't really know at this point.
Dude, they caught it, and one of the major things, you know, and this is something maybe we should preach. Don't ignore pain, even if you avoid pain, kids. Don't ignore it. If you hurt, if your body hurts or it hurts you deep in your soul, do something. You know, don't just sit there. Do something. Grab yourself a book. You know, I'd like to recommend at this point. I think we have to break for a little bit of this isn't, I'm not getting paid to say this. Okay. As always, we're not endorsed. We're not sponsored over here at Chaos and Coffee. Okay. But if you're feeling something, a void deep inside of you, I recommend picking up the Necronomicon.
My God, dude.
The American version, as translated by Dr. Brown of Massachusetts University. But not. Don't try to read the original Arabic written by the Mad Prophet. It's not a good idea.
There'd be a funny sponsorship to have. Like, sponsored by
don't read it out loud, and don't go messing around with the shit in that book, man. You might open something you can't close.
Okay, D&D, right? Okay, Chuck, you played role-playing stuff, right, before, right? You played role-playing games, yeah. D&D and shit? Yeah. Okay, so you come across a book in D&D, you read it. Fuck it. Right? Like you basically most of the time you come across a book, the wizard's going to read it or something's going to happen, but somebody's going to read that fucking book, right? There's a game that's based in the H.P. Lovecraft universe, appropriately called Call of Cthulhu. And in that role-playing game, Call of Cthulhu, your characters are very fragile. Okay, there's no like elven druid, okay, or anything like that. It's like I'm Ted. I work over at the phone company. Yeah, the phone's a new thing because it's 1920s. We're putting them in, you know? I'm an engineer for the telephone company. Like, you have a really mundane, normal job, right? Then you're thrown into these circumstances where you're dealing with creatures that are just like creatures from D&D. But what the fuck are they doing in 1920s Massachusetts, right? And it like drives characters mad. There's like a table for your madness level from having to deal with all the shit. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, there's very few hit points, you know what I'm saying, in this game. And inevitably, whenever you come across a book, you do not fucking read it. Because it will drive you mad. You know what I mean? It'll just, whoa! Especially the Necronomicon. Yeah, don't read it out loud.
Yeah, read it out loud. Staring into the void is a good thing, I think.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Run away from it. It can turn you a bit crazy, I guess. Temporarily, maybe. But yeah, overall, it's better for your health. Ever since I stopped running and just faced all the things that I had to do, there was like a condensed period of stress, and you just hardship, misery, or whatever, all the words you can think of, and then it's sort of like it was almost like I was lifted out of it. Yeah. It just in my day-to-day, I didn't feel that sort of black void, that sort of black hole inside of my very soul. Yeah, to get too deep, but yeah, it just went away. It filled itself.
for people doing, you know, whatever gives them strength or encouragement or whatever. But man, I've been there myself where I stared into the void. You know, I used to say for a long time that I used to vacation in hell. I look back on it now and I'm like, you know, it made me a more spiritual person. It made me a stronger person, and it made me a better person. But I don't know that I would recommend it for just anyone either.
Yeah, there's that saying that if you stare into the void long enough, the void will end up staring back at you. But
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I genuinely do. You let it stare back at you. You have a conversation with it, and it might enlighten you somewhat.
Yeah,
It will, not it might. It will.
That's
It definitely did. It sounds like it did in yours too. But that's one of the issues I've always had with religion is that, you know, one way of thinking, you know, this is right and everyone else is wrong, when, you know, you actually come out to be a much more spiritual person, I think, if you actually go out and investigate and check out other ways of thinking and doing and ways of being.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, everyone is different. They put us all in the same little box.
I'm not going into a box, dude. I'm saying this for the record right now. I get cremated. I get put into some type of vessel to carry my ashes, right? And then I get dispersed over some hilltop or some mountain somewhere. Cassandra knows the place. If that doesn't happen, I will haunt everybody as a goose.
So you want to pull a Hunter S. Thompson, do you?
Nah, that guy, he got like fired out of a cannon. You know what I mean? I remember that happening.
There's one where you can get turned into a tree. That's what I want.
I saw that. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I want to be turned into a tree.
Oh,
I thought about
watch the world go by.
I still have her ashes.
Oh, word! You should probably turn her into a tree. Yeah, that's a good spell.
Well,
He's by this.
I wanted to be dumped into the ocean, but I haven't had an opportunity to do that.
Which ocean? The Atlantic or Pacific?
She doesn't care.
Shit, man! You should come out to California and visit and dump them ashes out in the ocean.
I've thought about it. And I've been to the ocean a few times since then, but it was always on like work or something where it wasn't expected, so I didn't bring them with me.
Yeah, or the Gulf of Mexico.
Have to fly on a plane or something, and you got to explain why you got this brown bottle full of, ash.
No, man, I wouldn't worry about that. The thing, there's oceans around, you know, like, you know, Gulf of Mexico, Atlantic, Pacific. You'll end up doing it. That's a quest you probably want to do, though, man.
Yeah, it is. It's something that's always bothered me over the past, you know, how long has it been? 12 years or so, you know, that I haven't.
Bothering you for a reason, then is quest incomplete. You need to do it. And pay attention to the direction of the wind as well, because you don't want it blowing in your face.
A lot of it too is she had a long list of stuff she wanted done, and pretty much without exception, due to events out of my control, I wasn't able to do any of it. So that's the one thing that is in my control, and I haven't been able to do. Just, I don't know, I haven't had the opportunity.
Maybe she's poking you from beyond the grave, like, go do something with it. Go do something with it.
Exactly. Oh, that stupid girlfriend of mine. She packed up my laptop and didn't. She told me she had my phone charger in here, and it's not. But yeah, it is something I will be doing at some point.
Sounds like a good quest. Yeah, it's something I would definitely do. I would not want to be haunted by, what is essentially a government assassin. Let's not, we're talking about the same lady here, right?
Yeah.
Yep, kids. Kids, if the government tells you to go into a dark room and start filling out paperwork, it's already too late.
or if you start having some really weird dreams about people coming into your house and abducting you in the middle of the night, that's probably happening.
It's probably happening. That was a tactic they used on a UFOologist. What's the term I'm trying to use here? You know what I'm saying? Like a guy who believed in aliens. There was a cat who had received transmissions from the base, right? And these were they were just encrypted transmissions, right? I mean, this is like the 80s. That's what they were. But a garbled, encrypted radio transmissions would sound like to the person just receiving them like garbled alien speech. Do you get what I'm saying? Like lots of lots of clips, like clicks and blips as the sound is chopped up and reassembled, right? And so this guy had access. I mean, he recorded this shit. He basically recorded encrypted transmissions from the base. And so the guys had this routine of kidnapping him and drugging him, and then having him go through alien experiences, right? Which were essentially these fucking spooks fucking with them. You know what I mean? Like these guys had the go ahead. Like, yeah, you could fuck with the American public and drugs. Go ahead, have a field day.
That was something my wife used to laugh about. We'd watch these shows on alien abduction. That she'd always laugh, and I'd say, well, "What are you laughing about?" And she was like, "Well, you know, let's say you want to hold a big satanic ritual. You need cows for sacrifice. So what do? You fly in a silent helicopter with Team 1, who pulls the cows up with nets, and then you have Team 2 go in and abduct Mr. and Miss Farmer, give them a shit ton of LSD, and then screw with them all night. You bring Farmer and Miss Farmer back. They wake up the next morning thinking they had an alien experience, and their cows are mutilated."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it
didn't dawn on me at the time, you know, that, oh, these dreams I'm having of two dudes coming into my house dressed like Darth Vader, you know, might have actually been some guys coming in with gas masks because they had gassed the apartment. Right?
Yeah.
And then taking me off and putting me through a bunch of shit that I still to this day don't know how much of it was real and how much of it was just people fucking with me.
See, dude, I would definitely drop those ashes in a fucking ocean somewhere, dude, and then like literally fucking clap your hands and be like, "Well, that chapter's closed," and then go on and have, you know, like I wouldn't even, bro. I'm not trying to tell you how to live, but like seriously, dude, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, I would have quite some time ago, probably. I would have, because, dude, holding on to that relic, like that, oh man, it's one of those things that keeps the. We should probably go off camera. Or hey, my wife's not home yet. Okay, but it's to the people out there. When you keep things, when you just keep anything, it's like anything you have, just things you have, right? It holds memories, right? Like it's just cued to our brain. Not this isn't mystical, right? It's psychological, right? Like having the thing reminds us. It's a reminder, and sometimes that's great. Sometimes, yeah, you want to put that on a bookshelf or on a fireplace and you want to keep it forever, you know, keep grandpa around as long as you can, kids, or whatever the fuck you want to do. But sometimes, especially when someone's asked you explicitly to do something, you want to follow through with that quest or that thing. I would.
It can be subconscious as well. You don't even need to be able to see it. You can just know at the back of your mind that it's there.
Yep. It needs a processing space, you know?
Yeah.
The things you own end up owning you.
Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck.
Fight Club, kid.
Fight Club, kids. Yeah, you know what? I really feel like at this point we should probably talk about that one. That's a good one. Fight Club.
That's my favorite movie. I've actually seen that probably over 20 times. I never got bored of it.
That's a Limp Bizkit lyric.
You should read the book if you love the movie.
Oh, definitely read the book. Oh, yeah, the book.
I've got the book, well, technically on my phone, but I've not got around to reading it yet. It does seem remarkably similar to the movie. But yeah, I don't want to get around to it.
The book goes in, you know, to a lot more into the ideology the ideologies and stuff of the whole thing of what Tyler Durden was really.
Sorry for coughing.
I did like that part of it as well, the ideology and the sort of philosophy behind it, everything. It spoke to me on so many different levels that, I couldn't even articulate it.
Well, I'm not going to give any spoilers then, but yeah, definitely read it.
The thing is, if you like the movie,
look, another one of those. It has a lot of real knowledge in it.
There's a lot of knowledge. The first page.
Yeah. And I'm about just how to make explosives from household.
Yeah, that's I'm not garbled Google. You know what I love to buy when I'm on Google and Amazon and Nike and all this bop-a-doop-a-doo. Sorry. You heard what he said, but we just don't want the computers to hear it. You understand?
Yeah.
We just okay.
You can't use those words in a sentence. Really.
Please, yeah. Okay. It's one of those things like I want them to just think we're talking about expletive deletives or something like that. Expletive deleted, expletive deleted. Okay, so honestly, just read the first page. Don't tell them, Chuck. Just read the first page, man. Okay, just read if it's on your phone. Okay, read the first page, right? Especially if you like the movie. Okay, because it starts out a little different. You know what I'm saying?
I've read the first page at least.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Okay. Man, I feel like we should just promote the book like a motherfucker. Can you imagine this? Like, we're not the most watched channel on earth. Okay, we get like 9 viewers or 10 viewers a week, and we're thankful for you guys. We know you guys are watching us later on. You're not watching us live. Obviously, I'm not watching myself after this. But I Fight Club the book and read the first page, kids.
My mother watches the show, and just about every time I see her, she raves about how much she loves both of you guys.
That's nice. That's really nice. I'm telling you right now, our demographic, man, I get access to the YouTube numbers, right? We'll talk about this when we go off air. I don't want to get too meta. Okay, so Fight Club, the book, in the first page, explains to you how to make gelatin explosives. Like, in detail. Like, I don't know how you... Yeah, I mean, seriously, I know this. I mean, goddamn, do I have it? I used to have it. Or I borrowed it from you, maybe, Chuck, in college.
Actually, I think are you talking about the Anarchist Cookbook?
No. I printed that motherfucker out when I was in high school.
I've read so much of that, and a lot of it's out of date. I mean, some of it will still be applicable now, but the vast chunks of it just isn't.
There's a book called Steal This Book.
There's a lot of misinformation there too. You got to take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. There's a book that remember that guy who became a journalist. He's like a journalist over in Oklahoma City or Tulsa or whatever. I'm really bad with names, man, but he had a really he played like bass for the commies.
No.
Abby Hoffman seems to be the guy who wrote Steal This Book.
Okay, yeah, Steal This Book's a great book. Don't get me wrong. Steal This Book is a great book. Okay, there's this dude in college, and I'm so bad with names. I apologize. I can visualize you, dude. I can picture you right now. Boom, right? But I'm bad with names. Hold on. Oh, thank you, universe. Dale Denwalt the Third or some shit. Right? I assume you'll never see this, but I just want to make sure I got his name out there. Dale Denwalt III is a journalist in Oklahoma City or Tulsa or somewhere, but he let me borrow a book called Nothing in This Book is True, but It's Exactly How Things Are. Right?
Great.
And that book was wow. You know what I'm saying? Nothing in this book is true. I'm going to order that motherfucker, actually. You know, that's a great book. I want to reread it. Nothing in this book is true, but it's how it is or something like that. It's the fucking longest title. Oh, there it is. Popped right up on Amazon. God damn, dude. You know, Amazon, thanks a lot, Amazon. God bless you, Amazon. I hope you exist. I hope Google doesn't just buy you next week.
No, they have a big rivalry.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
in each other's territory.
Yeah, and most of it's their cloud service, which like it's funny, like when you find out that Apple uses Google's cloud service, you're like, what? So the iCloud, the entirety of the iCloud is hosted on Google's cloud service?
That's correct.
Well, Microsoft's cloud services and just about everybody else. I mean, you know, a cloud service is just, you know, leasing the cloud from someone else.
Yeah. Ultimately, it leads back to Google. Oh, that's it. Check this out, guys. Ultimately, it's back to Google or Amazon, folks. And that's the light. You know how that goes. So that's the end of the show.